This episode is brought to you by Wicked Cuts Jerky's mouth-watering line of premium meat snacks. Try their best-selling bacon jerky, made with real strips of juicy, flavorful bacon. Or their buffalo chicken jerky, which can only be compared to your favorite chicken wings. Or try their incredible meat sticks, infused with real cheese. Whatever you choose, you can't go wrong with their money-back Wicked guarantee. Save 15% on your first order at wickedcutz.com/snacks.
Gotta love that spring energy at Whole Foods Market. Dive into tropical favorites like pineapple, a variety of juicy citrus, and it's the best time of year for mangoes. Make it a wallet-happy spring by shopping dried fruits, sparkling water, and more from 365 by Whole Foods Market. Prime members save daily on prepared foods, go-tos, and sweets from the bakery department, so you can spend less time in the kitchen and more time outside. Spring back to life at Whole Foods Market.
This is Optimal Living Daily, episode 2714. Are multivitamins worth it? By Dr. Neal of Optimal Health Daily, and I'm Justin Malik. Every day I share one article with you and provide a bit of commentary at the end, but on Sundays, I think it's nice to share an episode from another podcast in our Optimal family. Today's comes from my brother's show, so actual family, Optimal Health Daily. This is actually a Q&A episode where he answers your questions. That could be related to health and fitness, nutrition, diet, stress management, and lots more. And if you send in a relevant health-related question and you're in the US, I'll personally mail you a physical copy of our 216-page hardcover Optimal Living Daily workbook. Or if you're outside of the US, I'll email you a digital version of it. You can send a question to health@oldpodcast.com. That's health@oldpodcast.com. And then take a listen to that podcast. Again, that's Optimal Health Daily. But let's get right to the bonus episode, a Q&A with my brother, Dr. Neal, as we optimize your life.
Hi, Dr. Neal. I was wanting more information on basic vitamin supplements. I'm in my 50s, and for many years I've taken multivitamins with calcium. I recently went for an annual physical with a new physician, and he said if I'm eating a well-balanced diet, research doesn't really support me taking these vitamin supplements. I would love to know your thoughts on this.
Thank you for your question, Jean. Think of multivitamins like this. They're like having an insurance policy. Taking one every day probably doesn't hurt, but may help under certain conditions. And here's why. In industrialized countries like the United States, the abundance of food has prevented many of the common nutrient deficiencies that used to be so common. So the risk of developing a vitamin or mineral deficiency is pretty low. There are, of course, exceptions to this. For example, as we get older, we may become deficient in certain nutrients. This happens for a lot of reasons, but here's an example. It's quite normal to lose some of our ability to absorb vitamin B12 as we age. Again, very normal. It basically happens to everyone. It's also possible because even though we have all of this abundancy, we may not select the most nutritious foods. Now, when someone tells me they're consuming a well-planned, balanced diet, I usually don't take their word for it. I like them to tell me what they're eating so that I can, cross-examine them a bit. I like to get a bit more detail and see if they're being honest with me. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case here, Jean, but something you can do is to start writing down everything you eat and drink and in what quantities. Do this for at least 3 days each week for the next 4 weeks. Try and choose days that are representative of how you normally eat. So, don't select holidays, for example, but do make sure that at least one of the days is a Saturday or Sunday. This is because we often eat very differently on the weekend when compared to weekdays. Now, the advantages to keeping a food journal like this would be 1, it will help you observe patterns in your diet so that you may begin to notice which foods you consume too little or too much of. And 2, you can bring your food journal to your next doctor's visit and show it to your physician. He then may be able to better assess whether a daily multivitamin is right for you. Now, just by keeping a food journal, you're probably going to automatically change your behavior because now you're going to be accountable to what you write down. That's very normal. And if that happens, kudos to you, that's fine. It just now means you're going to be eating even better than you normally would. Bonus. Now, based on the information you mentioned, Jean, I would consider continuing with the calcium supplement at a minimum. This is because women particularly are at an increased risk for developing osteoporosis after the age of 45. Osteoporosis is that nasty disease that leads to holes forming in our bones. The word osteo or osteon refers to bone, and porosis or porous refers to something having small spaces or holes in it. I know that there has been some controversy lately about the effectiveness of calcium supplementation and osteoporosis prevention, but the majority of studies do find that there is some benefit, especially if someone isn't getting enough calcium in their diet. I would consider asking your doctor about supplementing with 300 to 500 milligrams of calcium each day. Also, if your doctor hasn't done this already, go ahead and request a blood test that looks at your vitamin D levels. This is because vitamin D, along with calcium, helps to make your bones stronger. If your levels are low, it may be worthwhile to consider a vitamin D supplement too. But if your test comes back normal, there may be no need to supplement with vitamin D. Now, based on how your cholesterol levels look, Gene, I would also consider an omega-3 supplement, but only if your cholesterol levels don't look all that great. Now, going back to your multivitamin question, here's where I stand. And I'm going to quote the U.S. Preventive Service Task Force here. The data suggests that there is little risk of harm when taking a daily multivitamin. Rather, it can be beneficial if nutritional deficiencies exist. Hence my insurance policy analogy. Now, if you and your doctor decide that taking a multivitamin or calcium or vitamin D is right for you, keep in mind that some of the vitamins and minerals you get in pill form may not always be absorbed. There are a number of reasons for this. First, physiologically, our bodies are better equipped to pull nutrients from food instead of a pill. Second, the way the supplements are manufactured affects how the body absorbs them. Some vitamins are immediately destroyed when they hit the stomach because of the stomach's strong acid content. Others are better absorbed when you take them with food. For example, calcium is often found in two forms when you buy it as a supplement: calcium citrate and calcium carbonate. Calcium carbonate specifically is better absorbed when taken with food. Oh, and calcium is better absorbed when some vitamin D is present too. And just so you know, gummy vitamins most often fail quality testing, so it may be best to stay away from those for now. So here are some tips when buying a supplement, any supplement. 1. Ignore any misleading claims. Misleading claims on the packaging of nutrition supplements can still happen. If a supplement promises to be a cure for something, ignore it and definitely don't buy it. And next, do your homework. Check for quality and purity. One way to do that, it's really easy, is look for NSF or a USP symbol on the packaging. If you want even more details, check out consumerlab.com and do a quick search on their website. Just know that consumerlab.com, to access their complete database, will charge a fee. So the bottom line is this: taking a multivitamin daily probably won't hurt you. It's possible it may help, but of course, make sure you and your doctor are on the same page and discuss if there are specific other supplements they would prefer you take instead, like calcium and vitamin D and even omega-3s.
This episode is brought to you by Wicked Cut's newest revolutionary snack, high-protein, gluten-free beef jerky chips. You heard that right. This chip is no potato. Instead, this addictive snack is made from 100% real beef. It's everything you love about Wicked Cut's jerky, but crispy and crunchy like a chip. And it comes in 3 flavors: roasted red pepper, Korean barbecue, and cracked pepper. Treat yourself to a one-of-a-kind snack. Save 15% on your first order at wickedcutz.com/chips.
Gotta love that spring energy at Whole Foods Market. Dive into tropical favorites like pineapple, a variety of juicy citrus, and it's the best time of year for mangoes. Make it a wallet-happy spring by shopping dried fruits, sparkling water, and more from 365 by Whole Foods Market. Prime members save daily on prepared foods, go-tos, and sweets from the bakery department, so you can spend less time in the kitchen and more time outside. Spring back to life at Whole Foods Market.
Thank you again for your question, Gene. Now, if you want to send in a question to have answered right here on the show, you can email one to health@oldpodcast.com. Now, if you're in the US and your question is applicable, we'll even physically mail you one of our Optimal Living Daily workbooks. Now, if you want your voice on the podcast, just come by oldpodcast.com/ask, and you can record your question straight from your computer's microphone. If you don't like it, you can play back, listen to it, and delete it. Then you can do a retake before sending it in. Or you can do it the old-fashioned way and call in your question. The number is 1-61-I-LOVE-OHD. That's 1-614-568-3643. Thank you in advance so much for sending me your questions. Answering your questions is one of my favorite parts of this show. All right, that's another Q&A edition of Optimal Health Daily. Thank you so much for listening every day. Thank you for listening all the way through. Thank you for sharing the show with someone. I hope you have a great start to your weekend, and I'll see you back here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.